Welcome, friends. Welcome back to the kitchen. So Julie and I get to Mexico probably once a year, a couple times a year sometimes. It's a place we like to travel. The food's great. People are fantastic. It's within the continent. It's a great place to go. And so there's a soup that I've had in various places in Mexico that I really love. And I went looking for a recipe. I thought I was going to make it on the channel. And then in my feed popped up a recipe on another channel called Views on the Road. Shout out to Views on the Road. Thank you very much. And it was sort of a stripped down version that made concessions for time and budget. And I looked at the recipe and I thought, that's exactly what I need to make because time is tight for a lot of people. And I certainly know that for a lot of people, budget is tight. And it suits my style of cooking. So here we go. Into this Dutch oven, I'm going to put some bacon. I'm going to turn the heat up a little bit. It's not quite hot enough. And we're going to fry that bacon out, render out fat. This is quite a bit of bacon. Let me tell you about how I shop. When Julie and I first got married 30 years ago, budget was really tight for the first few years. And we pretty much only shopped for groceries. For vegetables, fruit and vegetables, always from the cart at the back of the produce section where the stuff is almost rotten, but it's, a really good deal. And the only meat we ever brought home was on sale. Totally the only meat we ever brought home was on sale. As, things got a little bit better economically for us, I mostly stuck to that. The fruit and veg, I started, going into the produce section to get a little better quality, but for the most part, I still only bought meat if it was on sale. I'm embarrassed to say that, I've been buying the same brand of bacon for several years now, and only about a month ago did I actually look at the price. And I was shocked at how much it cost. So I've been looking for a cheaper brand of bacon. I used to make bacon at home, which is even cheaper, but I gotta tell you, you gotta be dedicated, and I sometimes just don't have the time, which comes back to time savings. All of that to say is, if you don't have that much bacon, don't use that much bacon. I always keep bacon fat. If I have bacon and eggs, or I'm frying bacon for something and I don't need the fat later in the dish, I always keep the jar of bacon fat. Just use the fat for the flavor. These are simple things that you can cut your budget with. Just hanging on to the bacon fat and then using it here for the flavor without the bacon. Okay, so we're going to pull that bacon out. You can fry that bacon as far as you want. Take it as crispy as you'd like it. I'm kind of liking this amount of crisp. And so I've always seen the onion and jalapeno fire roasted for this. Weeknight meal, we're going to fry it in the bacon. So I've got the white parts and the green parts of a green onion, and I've sliced up my jalapenos because I kind of like to have smaller pieces. Traditional recipe, it's a whole jalapeno that comes in your bowl. Okay, so I'm looking for a little bit of softening, and I think we're pretty much there. So I'm going to pull that out and put it with the bacon. Okay, so the next concession to sort of time and budget is ground beef. Ground beef is a whole lot less expensive than the steak that would normally be used in this. So in goes the ground beef, and we're going to brown that. Take a look at how much fat is in the bottom. Add some fat if you need some fat. Take some fat away if you don't need the fat. And also sort of take into account how much fat is in your ground beef that you have. Okay. Salt, pepper, cumin, and I'm going to crush in some garlic. Okay, so I think I'm only going to put in 1 clove of garlic. This is garlic that we grew this summer in our garden, and each clove is massive, and it's really, really potent. Garlic, spices, salt, all of those things are always to taste in your own kitchen. If you look at a recipe and it says to put in, 40 cloves of garlic, and you don't really like garlic all that much, well then, I'm giving you the freedom to say, only put in 2 or 3, or none. So absolutely 100% not in the Views on the Road recipe, Marmite. I can't do a beef soup like this without it. So about a tablespoon of Marmite goes in there. Now Marmite is quite salty, so we've already put bacon in, very salty. Marmite, salty. Be very careful about how much salt, if you're going to use this ingredient mix, how much salt you're putting in here. Views on the Road recipe, she also used water. I'm going to use beef stock because I have beef stock on hand, and I think it'll really enhance the flavors going on here. If I didn't have the beef stock, I would probably use chicken stock before I used water, but water would be fine. I'm pretty sure water would be fine. There's building quite a bit of flavor in this pot, and the water's going to be just fine. I'd glug in some beer too. Probably, I'll make it this way first, but next time I make it, I would probably glug in a little bit of beer. Okay, good and brown. So, can of beans, actually black-eyed peas, beef stock, obviously 100% not authentic, not traditional, not authentic. I'm taking a recipe from someone who does know how to make this traditional and authentic, who has sort of streamlined it for time and budget, and then I have to look at it from the eyes of, I live in Toronto, fairly far from Mexico. And as much as Toronto is a hugely diverse, ethnically rich city where you can get almost everything, sometimes you have to sort of look at it and go, do I really want to drive 2.5 or 3 hours round trip in Toronto traffic to get to that one place in the city that I know is going to have what I need? And usually the answer is no, because it just doesn't make sense from time or economy to drive all that way to get one ingredient. So I am making some concessions here based on my own geographic location. Tomatilla salsa is the next ingredient. So in that goes, there we go. We'll stir that in, and we'll just kind of let this simmer to bring all of those flavors together. Okay, so this has been simmering for about 20 minutes. I don't think it needs that. I've just been waiting for Julie to get home from work, and she's almost home. So it's time now to put the onions, bacon, and jalapenos back in. In they go. And I've got some cilantro, and I'm going to put that in as well at this point. We'll stir that in just to warm them through, and then Julie should be home by then. I think I'd put a little more liquid in next time.
Hey, Glenn. Hey, friends.
Hey, Jules.
Ooh, toppings. Accoutrement.
Yes, we're going to need spoons.
What? You just said you needed more liquid. Are you sure we need spoons?
Yeah.
Okay. How am I supposed to eat the giant onion with my spoon?
Well, yes. I think if I was to do this again, I would cut the onions down definitely, because as much as the whole onion looks fantastic,
Doesn't fit on my spoon very
for ease of eating, I think I'd cut it down. So I'm gonna put a little bit of,
I don't know what I'm supposed to add. Like, what there's so many choices here.
put some there, and some onion. Oh, chicken.
It looks like there's already cilantro in there, so
Yeah,
I might just stick with that for now. The radish is kind of an interesting thing. It's hard to decide what to put in it when you don't know what's in it yet.
It's hot, physically hot.
I've got a lot of flavor in that.
That's the tomatilla salsa.
Yes, that would be. That would explain.
Really, really good tang from that. Really good flavor.
That might build
Yeah.
after. This is gonna go over well. I like this.
So I put in 2 jalapenos. Cut that back if you don't want that much heat. I think, just because I'm a fan of cans of Hatch chilies, I'd put a can of Hatch chilies in there too. But the flavor on this is really good. Super deep, beefy flavor. And that's the Marmite. Really.
You're really going with all the different tomatillos and Marmite and
The Marmite really brings that under, which allows you to cook with ground beef, but bring the giant flavor of the traditional steak that would have been in this soup. This is really good soup. I love this.
Yeah, you gotta wait here, Glenn.
Quick weeknight. Thank you, Views on the Road, for inspiring me to make this. I made some changes that aren't in their recipe, and I encourage you to make some changes based on where you live and what's available to you.
That aren't in our recipe.
Yeah, I mean, play with your food. It's your kitchen. You have to eat it. Thanks for stopping by. See you again.